Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Canal Algérie's nightly news. On to the headlines. Algeria, Italy. The Interior Minister continues his visit to Chitara, where he underlines the need to reinforce the exchange between local collectivities of the two countries. Algeria, Russia. The 12th session of the joint Algerian-Russian Intergovernmental Committee lays the foundation for strong cooperation in several fields with various agreements signed. In history, we look back on another massacre perpetrated by colonial France targeting Al Awfia tribe. In the Middle East, 110 Palestinian prisoners, including 3 children, released today, with other exchanges of prisoners expected. Welcome back. As we mentioned yesterday, the keys of the city of Chitara were given to the Minister of Interior, Local Collectivities and Territory Planning, Brahim Red, to hand over to the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, in a ceremony during which Mered stressed the importance of exchanges between local collectivities of both countries. Story by our correspondent Afaf Belouchet, taken up by Melissa Lila Balaman.
In Chitara, the Algerian delegation led by the Minister of the Interior received a reception that was both solemn and deeply moving. Every prominent local authority in the region was present, a testament to the enduring bond between Chitara and Algeria, a relationship forged through history and nurtured by the timeless currents of the Mediterranean. However, the moment that truly left a lasting impression was the powerful image of the handing over of the keys to the city to be delivered to President Abdelmajid Tebboune, a unique move symbolizing fraternity, now sealed in stone.
اسم جميع المواطنين يسلم إلى فخامة الرئيس عبد المجيد تبون رئيس الجمهورية الجزائرية الديمقراطية الشعبية مفاتيح المدينة كتعبير عن الامتنان العميق والتقدير الكبير للعلاقات القوية من الصداقة والتضامن والتعاون الذي تجمع بين شعبينا ليستمر هذا الرابط قويا ومزدهرا للأجيال القادمة.
For the Algerians, this friendship goes beyond mere symbols. The minister committed to going further by responding positively to the mayor's wishes. Chitara and Ghazawat will be twinned, uniting their future through a partnership full of promises. I have long heard of this beautiful city, and during this visit I have discovered the deep respect the people of the city have for Algeria, particularly for the region of Ghazawat. It is for this reason that we must consolidate ties between our two countries, and more specifically between the regions of Ghazawat and Chitara, reflecting the strong will and political vision of both presidents, President Abdelmajid Tebboune of Algeria and the President of the Italian Republic. We will first sign a twinning agreement between the city of Chitara and Ghazawat, as well as a decentralized cooperation agreement between the cities of Ghazawat and Chitara. This agreement will focus on strengthening joint economic activities and the exchange of expertise and knowledge. I will personally ensure the swift implementation of this agreement.
نظرا لهذا الاستعداد.
Per me oggi è un giorno dei più importanti della mia vita.
Today is one of the most important days of my life because, thanks to the words of the minister, I am realizing a childhood dream, establishing a twinning between my hometown and the community of Ghazawat, where many people from Chitara have settled over the past 200 years. They have worked there, and thanks to the Algerian people who treated them like brothers and sisters, they were able to live with dignity. These people gave them the chance to educate their children and lead a respectable life through hard work. It is a sign of fraternity and affection that Algeria has shown since the early 19th century, and this bond will forever remain engraved in the hearts of the people of Chitara. That is why neither I nor my fellow citizens will forget it. I am deeply happy on this day. This mindset is shared by the Algerian Minister of the Interior, who sees this twinning as much more than just a symbol. For him, it is a concrete commitment rooted in a genuine friendship as well as a shared vision for development.
احنا كنقولوا توأمة يعني العمل المشترك في جميع المجالات وخاصة بالنسبة للصيد البحري.
When we talk about twinning, we refer to joint actions in several areas, particularly in strengthening economic activities and the exchange of expertise in the fishing industry. As you know, both cities have important ports and maritime infrastructure, as well as significant experience in tuna fishing. This twinning will provide local operators, especially the youth, with opportunities to collaborate and grow.
تعاونوا ويكون التعاون في الاستثمار والتعاون في الاقتصاد وخاصة نحو شبابنا من جهة وأخرى.
This commitment is accompanied by a strong gesture. Brahim Murad announced that he will soon invite the matriarch of Chitara, one of the last surviving residents of Ghazawat, to Algeria.
The 12th session of the Algeria-Russia Joint Intergovernmental Commission was marked by the presence of the Minister of Agriculture, Rural Development and Fisheries and the Russian Deputy Prime Minister. The aim is to establish a stronger trade, economic and scientific cooperation. More details with Melissa Balaman again.
Expanding economic and technological relations and strengthening bilateral ties are the key objectives of the 12th session of the Algeria-Russia Joint Intergovernmental Commission in Algiers. The discussions centered on trade, investments, energy, higher education, and most notably agriculture, a pivotal sector that remains a top priority for both nations. Algeria is one of Russia's most important trading partners in Africa. In the first 10 months of last year, the trade volume between the two countries reached $1.7 billion, primarily composed of agricultural products, with Russian exports to Algeria exceeding $850 million. Strengthening the Algerian-Russian cooperation is essential in realizing strategic joint projects based on a win-win principle. This involves supporting and guiding economic stakeholders in both countries to establish bilateral partnerships and carry out structuring and productive investment projects. These initiatives aim to support sustainable development plans of both nations, bring intangible benefits to their population while opening new prospects for cooperation in areas of mutual interest. Agreements have been signed in various sectors with a particular emphasis on higher education and scientific research. Partnership between universities will enable exchanges of students and researchers, further enhancing academic and technological collaboration. This agreement crowns efforts we had already initiated, including collaboration with professors and students from this university. We are currently working on a joint master's program, and this convention will allow us to expand the scope of cooperation and exchanges between our two universities.
Et donc cette convention va nous permettre donc d'élargir le champ de coopération et d'échange entre donc nos deux universités.
There are 3 bilateral agreements, and given that our Polytechnic University of St. Petersburg is currently the coordinator of the Russian African University networks, which include around 100 academics from 23 countries, we have also signed 3 agreements with Algerian universities. These universities have decided to join the consortium, and we look forward to working together.
C'est les universités qui sont décidées à joindre le consortium et on espère travailler ensemble.
Cette convention porte essentiellement.
This agreement primarily focuses on scientific and cultural exchanges. For the 2025-2026 academic year, we expect a number of professors from Tver State University to spend the year at the University of Oran too. This is particularly significant given that the University of Oran has a Russian language department.
C'est une année à l'université d'Oran 2, sachant pertinemment que nous avons un département de langue russe à l'université d'Oran.
Through this dynamic partnership, Algeria is solidifying its position as a key partner for Russia in Africa. The prospects continue to expand, and this cooperation, far from stopping here, is being shaped around ambitious goals for the coming years.
In his capacity as a special envoy of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Minister of Communication, Mohamed Mazian, was received in Gaborone, the capital Botswana, by the President of the country, Doma Gideon Boko, during which he delivered a letter from President Tebboune to his Botswanan counterpart, in which he conveyed his brotherly greetings and aspirations to reinforce bilateral relations in many fields. The Minister of Communication held talks with the Botswanan President on cooperation in agriculture and energy between the two countries while reviewing upcoming major continental events to ensure joint African action. At the end, both sides agreed to activate the constant consultations in services of the interests of both countries and the continent as a whole. Sonatrach Group signed a memorandum of understanding with the Mauritanian Petroleum Company in order to reinforce energy cooperation, notably in exploration, production, exchange of expertise, and training. The memorandum was signed by the Sonatrach CEO, Rashid Hashishin, the CEO of the Mauritanian Petroleum Company, Ismail Abdel Fattah. Our history chapter tonight is devoted to a massacre perpetrated, a bloodthirsty French colonial general against the Al-Oufia tribe, denoting the barbarity of colonial in our country. Salim Mirouh revisits his milepost on the road of independence and freedom.
On April the 6th, 1832, colonial France committed its first massacre in Algeria, targeting the tribe of Al-Ufi in Al-Harash near the capital, under the orders of the bloodthirsty French general Savary, Duc de Rovigo. This brutal raid marked the start of a campaign of terror aimed at uprooting the Algerian population. Pretending a theft of provisions in the French camps, the colonial army launched a punitive expedition of unprecedented violence in the tribe of Al-Ufia. Hundreds of Algerian men, women and children were cowardly slaughtered, with no distinction made between them. The victims' heads were decapitated and mutilated, and their severed heads were displayed for all to see. The mutilated bodies served as a chilling message meant to terrorize anyone still resisting the occupation. Though this atrocity has been erased from the official French account, it remains a stark example of the brutal repression that characterized the early years of the French occupation in Algeria. Part of a long series of colonial crimes, it exposes the relentless cruelty of a regime willing to impose its domination.
Coming up in our news edition. Corruption is deeply rooted in Morocco, a plague fragilizing more and more the national economy and sinking the country into serious dysfunctions. In the daily window of the Middle East, a new exchange of prisoners took place in the Palestinian enclave. 110 Palestinian prisoners are free as part of the Gaza ceasefire that came into effect since the 19th of January. More details in the following report. 110 Palestinian prisoners are released, including 30 children, in an exchange of 8 Israeli captives who were also released by Hamas movement in the framework of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. 2 buses transporting Palestinian prisoners arrived in Ramallah in occupied West Bank, while most were taken to occupied East al-Quds and others to Gaza Strip that underwent a genocide for over 15 months. Earlier in the day, Hamas delivered to the Red Cross other hostages, including 5 Thai nationals who had been working on farms near Gaza, conducting thus by the third operation of exchange of prisoners and hostages between Hamas and the Zionist entity in the framework of the Gaza ceasefire deal that came into effect since the 19th of January, the first phase of which will take 6 weeks. During the first step, 33 Israeli hostages are expected to be released and 1,900 Palestinian detainees are to be set free. To Morocco now, ravaged by deeply incurred corruption, hindering the national economy at the expense of citizens who keep struggling to overthrow the current regime and root out the bureaucratic practices. Salim Mirouh once again.
In Morocco, corruption is no longer limited to a few isolated cases. It has become deeply rooted within institutions, fragilizing the national economy and increasing injustice, a tidal wave that is sinking the country into a vicious spiral from which it is difficult to escape and of which citizens are the first victims, bearing the brunt of nepotism, favoritism and organized plundering. Corruption absorbs 5% of the gross domestic product, representing a loss of 50 billion dirhams per year. The amount of bribes related to public procurement alone reaches this sum. Furthermore, only 10% of Moroccans benefit from 36% of the national GDP, another salient fact. No fewer than 30 MPs are being prosecuted. Can we still talk about a representative institution? It is no longer a parliament, but a refuge of those fleeing justice.
سيد رئيس الحكومة وانت كتهضر على السياحة في بلادنا حشمت في بلاصتك.
Mr. the head of government, I'm ashamed if I were you. You talk about tourism in our country, but you have drowned us in plastic. Trapped in a relentless and hopeless system, the Moroccan citizen finds himself crushed in a reality where corruption has become commonplace, encompassing every aspect of daily life, from bribes that have become mandatory in a bureaucratic system, weakening the economy. Whether it is to withdraw papers, renew documents such as a passport, or even carry out any other administrative procedure, it is obligatory to pay a bribe. In Morocco, bribes have become the rule, even for the most insignificant procedures. You have to pay. Without this, everything remains blocked and nothing comes of it. From simply ignoring corruption, the Mohsen regime has set up legal structures designed to protect it by consolidating impunity mechanisms. What was once seen as a drift has become now an anchored practice, norm in Morocco.
Sports now, CS Constantine stunned the home side CR Belouizdad with 2-0 as part of the National Football Championship. Both goals were scored by Belhoussini. This victory allows CSC to rank 5th with 23 points, while CRB remains in the 3rd slot.
كما قلت أرضية الميدان والانفلات والغفلة والارتباك الدفاعي تسببوا في أول أهداف المباراة لمصلحة النادي الرياضي القسنطيني. في الدقيقة ارتطمت الكرة بالأرض، كيف سهلت مهمة عبد النور. ندخل بالكرة كان من هناك بالحسيني. بالحسيني للمرة الثانية. يا له من تغيير البديل بالحسيني، ويا له من تغيير ويا له من كوتشنج تحسب
We wrap up our news from the Georgia Heights to admire the immense beauty of Tel Agilev, covered with a splendid white snow. The footage is by Salim Bonani. Take care and good night.